My name is Dick Pafford. I'm a Tarrant County Master Gardener. I'm also a Master Naturalist. Today's presentation is going to be on Poinsettias, but I'm also going to discuss the general genus of Euphorbias. Tarrant County Master Gardener Association has partnered with the TRWD, and as part of this partnership, the Tarrant Regional Water District helps support and sponsor a lot of our educational programs. In turn, we want to encourage water conservation and rainwater harvesting. The TRWD maintains 4 area lakes and pipelines needed to provide surface water to local water treatment plants so they can clean the water to meet water drinking standards for our communities. They also work with many cities in Tarrant County, such as Fort Worth, Arlington, Mansfield, and many others, to provide water conservation programs to the community. Conservation is an important water supply strategy to help meet the needs of a very growing population. There are currently 2.3 million people in Tarrant County. This is expected to double over the next 50 years. That is why TRWD supports many programs that help save water through outdoor watering and gardening education. At SaveTarrantWater.com, you can sign up for free weekly watering advice custom to your location. You just put in your zip code and they will send you weekly watering recommendations for your area. If you are a resident of Tarrant County, you can sign up for a free sprinkler system checkup where a licensed irrigator will come to your home and provide a comprehensive evaluation of your system with recommendations to reduce water waste. There is also an event calendar where you can find information about future classes and workshops. So be sure and check out SaveTarrantWater.com and sign up for your free services. Poinsettias and other euphorbias. That will be the presentation. Do you know this plant? What about this plant? This is taken in Mexico, where the poinsettia trees can grow to 13 feet. It naturally blooms at the right time of the year, and they use cuttings from these trees for many services and church services in December. How do you say it? Do you say poinsettia or poinsettia? Actually, they're both correct. Poinsettia is a Euphorbia pulcherrima. Pulcherrima means very beautiful in Latin. Poinsettia is native to just south of Mexico City. And that's the home to the poinsettias where they bloom in the wintertime. The Aztecs used poinsettias for a purple dye for clothes and cosmetics, and they used the milky white sap as a medicine to treat fevers. Is it poisonous? It is not poisonous, but the sap is very caustic. So if you get some of that white sap in your eye, it could cause irritation. The history of the poinsettia in the U.S. In 1825, President John Quincy Adams appointed Joel Roberts Poinsett as the first minister to Mexico. Poinsett sent some of the plants back to South Carolina and grew them and shared the plants with friends. He was also one of the founders of the Smithsonian, and he was a botanist. Poinsettias are the best-selling potted flowering plant in the United States. They are sold in the wintertime, and they come in many colors. So where are the flowers on the poinsettia? They're in the very center. There are no petals or sepals. The color comes from modified leaves called bracts. Genus Euphorbia is also in the spurge family. The inflorescence or flower is called a cup flower. It's a cyathium. It has no petals or sepals. It's monoecious. They have modified leaves called bracts. They have a sticky, white, latex-like sap, and some people that are allergic to latex could react to this sap. And the sap is present, of course, in the stem. The genus has over 2,000 members, making it one of the largest genera of flowering plants. The cyathium is the inflorescence of the spurges in Euphorbia. It resembles a single flower. It consists of a cup-shaped involucre. An involucre is an enclosure, such as the cap of an acorn. And the involucre is formed of fused bracts enclosing several greatly reduced male flowers and one single female flower. And how are poinsettias grown? This is a short video to show poinsettia production.
The poinsettia is one of the most popular flowering indoor plants worldwide. Every year, over 100 million plants are sold in Europe alone. To provide sufficient plants at the beginning of the season, production starts every spring. Poinsettias are grown out of cuttings. Young leafed branches are being cut off so-called mother plants. These plants are purebred, particularly beautiful and lusciously grown poinsettias. Every year from May onwards, the first cuttings are taken from the mother plants and planted into a special earth to generate root growth. The cuttings are irrigated and sheltered for the next 3 to 4 weeks in a warm climate similar to their Mexican origin. After root growth is complete, the young plants are replanted into their final pots. Time and pot size depend on the desired final size of the plants. Large plants, such as high-stemmed and bush poinsettias, are already being repotted in May. Normal-sized ones between June and August, and the so-called minis in September. Temperatures between 16 and 20 degrees centigrade, consistent humidity and frequent fertilizing are the ideal growing conditions for young poinsettias over the next months. The dark phase commences 7 to 9 weeks before the start of the season. Black foil and time switches create an artificial short day for the plants. To generate flowers and colourful upper foliage, the poinsettias need 12 hours darkness per day for the next 50 days. During their last greenhouse phase, the poinsettias grow to their desired size and form out their characteristic star-shaped, colourful upper foliage, along with inconspicuous little buds. Brilliant reds, elegant creams, glowing pinks, or a delicate rose create the specific poinsettia glamour and ambience. You will find more information on www.xmas-star.info.
Hope you enjoyed that little movie. This is a picture taken at the Fort Worth Botanic Garden. They produce hundreds of poinsettias during Christmas time. This is in the conservation greenhouse. You can see all the many different colors and varieties that are present. These are some of my fellow master gardeners taking a tour. It's another picture in the same greenhouse. You can see how tall some of these poinsettias are in the back. So you can understand how in Mexico they can be 13 feet tall. The Paul Ecke Ranch are the ones that really made the poinsettia, the Christmas flower, and the Christmas plant. And I'm going to give a little bit of history about the Ecke family. In 1909, Albert Ecke, a German immigrant, moved with his 5-year-old son to the Los Angeles area to farm fruit and vegetables, but they dabbled in flowers and a shrub with brilliant red bracts, and it attracted their attention. To sell the poinsettia, they called it the Christmas flower, and convinced local growers to grow the plant. After all, not many plants bloom in winter. In 1923, they were muscled out of Hollywood, and Paul Ecke Sr. moved to Encinitas, where he turned it into the best potted plant in America. At their peak, they commanded 90% of the American poinsettia market. Ecke Jr. took over the reins in 1960, promoted the plants on TV and in magazines. He was also on the Johnny Carson show and was shown eating some of the leaves to prove that it was not poisonous. They were always seen on sets of shows at Christmas time. He also developed a secret way to make the plants tougher and have more blooms. Paul Ecke III took over the ranch in 1992 and started the business in Guatemala. They used their greenhouses in California to hybridize and make new varieties and colors. He sold the company to Drummond Orange in 2012, and they now run the business there. They don't sell the plants directly to consumers. Their business was developing and patenting new varieties, growing cuttings of those varieties, and selling them through the growers. Some other poinsettia facts. During the 6 to 8 weeks of the holidays, 70 to 80 million plants were sold. A 50-pound child could eat 500 leaves before starting to get a stomachache. So far, they've not been able to produce a blue poinsettia. There is an old Mexican legend, tells a story of a little girl so poor that she can't afford to buy anything to offer her church's nativity scene. Refusing to go empty-handed, she plucks a handful of tangled weeds from the side of the road. To her surprise, they miraculously bloomed into dazzling red and green poinsettias at baby Jesus' feet. If you can Google Ecke Ranch, and you will find some other wonderful videos. They will give you tours of their greenhouses, and I encourage you to do that. You could also go to the website that I have listed on this slide. You could take a picture of that, and that will show you a beautiful YouTube video of one of the Eckes doing a tour of their wonderful greenhouses. Did any of you know that we have 4 native poinsettias? One is Euphorbia cyathophora. It's also called a false poinsettia, painted poinsettia, Mexican poinsettia, or fire on the mountain. It has beautiful orange bracts. This plant will do well in shade or sun. We've had this at our school garden. Pam Brock, who helped with the initial part of this PowerPoint, brought some of this to the garden, and now we have it every year. It does like to spread. It is a native plant, so we can't say that it's invasive, but we can call it aggressive. Another of the poinsettia varieties is the green poinsettia, or tooth spurge. You probably see this as a weed in your yard, and it's easy to recognize. If you look at the very center of the plant, you will see the typical flower arrangement seen in the euphorbia. This is snow on the prairie, or Euphorbia bicolor. This one is seen mainly in eastern Texas, but it can be grown anywhere. If you look closely where I have the arrow pointed, you can see the cyathium. You can see the white bracts around the central flowering in the center, which is the male plant, the female plant surrounded by the male flowers. This is snow on the mountain. This one is seen more in the hill country. It's similar to snow on the prairie, except as you can see, the leaves are a little bit broader. I'm going to give you just a few other hints on what to do with your poinsettias. When you buy a poinsettia, you want one on which little or no pollen is showing on the flower. When you start seeing the yellow color show up there, then the flowers are getting close to the end and you can lose the bracts. To prolong the life of a poinsettia, you need to avoid hot or cold drafts because they're highly sensitive to cold temperatures, and even a few minutes of exposure will cause the leaf and bracts to discolor, wilt, and drop. You need to regularly water to keep the soil moist but not soggy. In fact, if you have the foil wrapped around your pots that you purchase, you need to take that off so that you can have good drainage. Drying out will cause premature leaf loss. They need a bright location, but no direct sunlight when they're in bloom. Local ideal temperatures are 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit during the day and 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit during the night. If you want to keep them beyond the holiday season as houseplants, they might benefit from being fertilized after a month or so. Another interesting fact is there is a National Poinsettia Day. It is December 12th. That is the day that Joel Poinsett passed away. I don't think that's a recognized holiday anymore, but that was put in place after his passing. If you want more resources, you can call us at the Master Gardener desk at 817-884-1944, or you can email us at tarrantmg@ag.tamu.edu. We can help you with any questions you might have about poinsettias or any other plant problems or questions that you have. A wonderful website is Aggie Horticulture. You can just Google that to get to that site. They will have answers to pretty much any plant question you possibly have. They also have multiple publications that you can download about taking care of and growing poinsettias. When I was reviewing this, I found a very good site on how to care for and rebloom poinsettias. It's at the University of Minnesota Extension. And if you go there, they will give you a step-by-step way to get your poinsettias to rebloom and how to put them out in the yard and take care of them. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation, and it's been a very pleasure to talk with you today.